The Arizona Cardinals go after a defensive lineman with untapped potential, a potential defensive monster up the middle of the field, and he's only 21 years old. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. But today, we're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals using the 16th overall pick on defensive lineman Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I was live during this first round, and I felt like I was a little bit in shock that the Cardinals went Walter Nolen, and unfortunately, this is one of the very few players that I did not do a deep dive into, and that's on me, right? Because I was very much favoring the Arizona Cardinals going trenches either on defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball, and Walter Nolen potentially being a top two or top three, just depending on who you're asking. Interior defensive lineman in this class. I kind of did myself a disservice to not really look too much into Walter Nolen. Now, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a deep dive into who this player is, why the Arizona Cardinals chose him, and what PFF has to say about Walter Nolen. Now, like I said before, I watched multiple different things. I saw, a couple different highlight reels of him, and for the most part, he looks to be pretty darn promising. Now, we've mentioned this before. I would love nothing more than the Arizona Cardinals to bolster up that defensive line. I don't care that we brought in Dalvin Tomlinson. I don't care that we brought in Josh Sweat. I don't care that we brought in Calais Campbell. What the Cardinals need to do is build a young defensive line, because if you blink your eyes, a year goes by, and guess what? You no longer have Calais. You blink your eyes again, 2 years go by, and you no longer have Dalvin Tomlinson under contract. So it was very important for the Arizona Cardinals to start establishing a defensive line, starting with, obviously, Darius Robinson. Hopefully, B.J. Ojulari can stay healthy. And then now you add Walter Nolen to the mix. And honestly, there is a mix of emotions from the fan base. I was looking at the chat in my live stream, and a lot of people did not really like this specific pick. Now, I'm not sure if it was the specific player that they don't like, or if they don't like the position that the Arizona Cardinals went after, right? Now, to me, I like that the Arizona Cardinals went defensive line. I like that the Arizona Cardinals went interior defensive line and bringing in Walter Nolen. So overall, I think this is a pretty solid pick. Would I have picked him in the 16th overall? I mean, probably not. But honestly, like I said before, I'm in one of those modes right now that Monty Fort so far has not allowed me or has not let me astray. So I'm going to see what Walter Nolen can possibly do for the Arizona Cardinals. And we're going to do a little peek into what PFF has to say about him. And I always say this. Obviously, PFF is not, the end-all, be-all, but it's good to kind of get some sort of reference on your 16th overall pick, and this is what PFF has to say about Walter Nolen. Now, like I said before, he's 21 years old. He's really, really young, 6'3", 305. Now these are going to be the stats that he had in 2024. Now he's rated pretty darn high in PFF. He's got an overall grade of 88.9, right? So overall, a fantastic grade for PFF. He played in 13 games, a crazy amount of defensive snaps, sacks, 6 sacks, 4 hits, 25 hurries, 2 balls that were batted down. He, for the most part, plays, I think we have him on the B gap, more than anything here for PFF, but he's got a really, really good run defensive grade. Like, he's sitting right now at 91.6 per PFF, right? So he looks pretty good. He looks to be the real deal. Now, I've seen a couple videos here and there, and there was one video about him on the combine saying that he's going to be the next Aaron Donald, right? And Aaron Donald comes out on a video having a personalized video specifically for him. And of course, he got very, very starstruck. And because Aaron Donald is probably one of the best defensive linemen to ever do it. Unfortunately, he was a Ram, right? Played in the division. He was always a monster to wreak havoc. And we're all hoping that, Walter Nolen can be that guy for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it does say here shades of Milton Williams. Now, is this because did the Cardinals make this move because right, we all were talking about defensive line was very, very important, and you blink your eyes in 1 or 2 years, then we don't got those other guys? Maybe, right? Now he's got shades of Milton Williams. I've also heard some comparisons of potentially Quentin Williams from the Jets, right? So we got an overall pretty solid player that's got some really, really, really good physical traits, right? I'm talking about a very aggressive play style, a violent play style here. Now, he does got some sort of knocks on him, right? When it comes down to his cons, whenever you're hearing it, it almost kind of feels like the pass rushing, I guess, skills overall, they can be worked on, right? Like that part of his game can have some sort of brush up on, right? But I trust Jonathan Gannon. I trust Nick Rallis to come in here and overall provide him with the tools and the coaching for him to succeed in the NFL. Now, here's the next big kicker out there, right? What's going to happen with Walter Nolen and Darius Robinson, being that they probably play the same role, right? Are we going to have somebody fighting for the role in training camp? Well, that's probably what's going to happen. Jonathan Gannon did come out and say that Walter Nolen is going to be put in the situation where he's going to be fighting for a role in 2025, which is pretty refreshing to hear. I don't want him to be handed the job. And honestly, I don't think he's going to be handed the job because you got Dalvin Tomlinson, you got Calais Campbell, you got Darius Robinson that's hopefully taking that second year or that next step. So I'm really excited to see what Walter Nolen can do here for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm really hoping that he can become that guy for the Cardinals. Now, obviously, he's got some pretty high praises of himself. He's saying he's going to be the next Aaron Donald. Fingers crossed that that's what he's going to be. But when you're hearing Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort talk about Walter Nolen, they really, really talk about who he is as a person, right? So much that he's got a big heart, so much that he's a really good locker room guy. Like, that's what the number one thing that sticks out to me. Obviously, the way he obviously the way he plays as well, right? Playing violently, the play style of how Jonathan Gannon likes to get his defensive players to play. So that checks the box, but they really emphasize who he is as a person. And I think that holds a lot of weight for obviously the Arizona Cardinals regime and organization and how they're trying to build this roster moving forward. So Walter Nolen, although I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yes, I would have got him at 16 personally, but there is so much untapped potential here, right? There's so much untapped potential with Walter Nolen, and he's only 21 years old. And right now, per PFF, he was listed as the second best interior defensive lineman at 21 years old right now. So give him a couple years under his belt, right? Playing in the level, the speed of the NFL, he can get better, man. Obviously, you got to redefine the tools. You gotta give him to Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, and get those pass rushing skills developed to the point where he's going to be an absolute monster in the interior part of the defensive line. And let's call it like it is. We haven't had a guy like him since probably Calais Campbell. And guess what? We got Calais Campbell back. So maybe he can learn from Calais Campbell. And on top of that, we haven't had a guy since Calais Campbell since Darnell Dockett. There are some people saying, oh, this might be the next Darnell Dockett. Well, I mean, let's pump the brakes right there for a second. But overall, I love the direction that the Cardinals ended up going. I love the pick position that they ended up going for. Was I hoping that the Cardinals were going to go after an edge player? Yeah, I was hoping that the Cardinals were going to go after an edge player, but believe it or not, there's still some really good edge players going into the second round for the Arizona Cardinals to potentially choose from. Right now, obviously, it depends on who falls to them at the second round, but Monty Ossenfort did come out and say, hey, we're going to probably, look at everything, trading back, trading up, staying pat where they're sitting at right now in the second round and choosing the best player available. But they have a very specific vision, a very specific type of person they're looking for. And like I said before, I'm going to reemphasize the fact that the Cardinals really love the persona and who he is as a person outside the player. Obviously, they love what he does as a player, but who he is as a person is very, very much a big key factor as to why they chose Walter Nolen at 16. Now, Jonathan Gannon did say that he had somebody that he knows within the Ole Miss organization. So, of course, he got a little bit of intel as to who he is as a person as well. They met with him on the top 30 visit. They liked what they saw, and the Cardinals ended up pulling the trigger, and they got potentially the second best interior defensive lineman in the entire 2025 NFL draft. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the people out there that do not like this pick and they think that Monty Ossenfort absolutely flunked this first round, I'm going to have you take a real quick step back here real fast and just kind of really evaluate who the Cardinals went after. And like I said, per PFF, top two, right? Interior defensive lineman. You got a guy that actually has a lot of production in the collegiate level. Now, hopefully that translates into the NFL, but a guy with a lot of untapped potential. And he's only 21 years old. Maybe he can become that interior dog that we've been longing for. for a long time, right? Let's all hope that that can go ahead and come up to fruition. But all the thing I can say right now is, Walter Nolen, welcome to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm excited to see what your career is going to blossom into. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts overall on the 16th overall pick is. Put it in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.